And welcome back to Pewter Power. I am Mike Deem, he is Joe Bell, and we are talking Buccaneers football. Unfortunate loss to Chicago at Wembley Stadium, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And unfortunately, a lot of injuries going into this game, and then a lot of injuries coming out of this game.
The scary thing about it is, as bad as they played, they actually had a chance to win. That's as bad as Chicago played as well. I mean, Chicago looked okay. Tampa just looked horrid.
Well, I tell you who looked okay, and we'll throw it there, but Matt Forte, and I did say this last week, watch out for Matt Forte.
Matt Forte
was
25 for 145 yards and a touchdown and 2 receptions for 38 yards. He had a killer game. Yeah. He really did. And only, I think, because Tampa couldn't tackle anybody, including the streaker. That was a cop that tackled him. I would have put him in a uniform if I could have got away with it for the second half. He actually tackled him.
I wouldn't tackle him either.
We had a problem with that.
He had clothes on, though, right?
Yeah, he did have clothes on.
Well, see, I would tackle him with clothes on. I would not tackle him with no clothes on. I wouldn't tackle him if he's naked. Because you never know what you're going to get when you tackle somebody that has no clothes on.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So it was one of those games where injuries were a major, major factor.
To begin the game and during the game, right?
Yep. I got a screen to throw up there about our injuries. Look at these are injured or out. LeGarrette Blount, Gerald McCoy, and Jeff Fain were already out of the game. Jeff Fain was being the center, Gerald McCoy being defensive line. We ended up losing Ernest Graham at the beginning of the second quarter into the first quarter. Mason Foster was taken out. Tenar Jackson, after an interception, went out. And the biggest one I thought out of the whole game, other than Ernest Graham, was Jeremy Zuda. Yeah. You know, he was the backup center to Jeff Fain.
Right.
And then he went out, and he was already out of position. So.
Yep. So it's, I mean, that's a lot of injuries in one game, and then having the additional injuries. But talk to me about the running backs.
The big problem is Ernest Graham. Yeah. That's where their problem lies right now. LeGarrette Blount is still hurt. Now, I don't know how bad. Could he have played? Maybe. If they'd have had any idea that Ernest Graham was going to have that kind of injury, and you don't know. And that ended up being an Achilles tendon or something. So he's out for the season. Yeah. Which is painful for Tampa at this point.
Well, let me ask this, okay? And I talked a little bit, and we both caught it a little bit. They go into London with 2 running backs only.
Right, only 2
on the roster.
Yeah, and Lorig as the only fullback.
That was like throwing the dice, hoping that it doesn't happen, and it did.
With Lorig being the only fullback, because Ernest Graham is the fullback. So really, they had 3 on the roster, and Lorig got hurt during the game as well. So you're down to Craig Lumpkin, who was 8 for 15 yards in 3 quarters. So obviously you can tell they did not run the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
They had 3 tight ends in for most of the game just to protect Josh Freeman, who was getting hammered by Chicago because they were blitzing on every play because they knew they weren't going to run, or they were not going to be able to run effectively.
Okay, begs the question then. Josh Johnson, how come he didn't come in to give him a little bit of a break?
I don't know.
Some options.
I agree. I think they should have done that. I just don't know if I don't know. Maybe they weren't ready for that and they didn't know what to do for that. They were in a really bad position.
I agree.
You normally, if Craig Lumpkin goes down, they have nobody. They have no running backs left on the entire team.
You got Rondé Barber.
He's not a running back.
Give him the ball.
He may have to be a running back in the game.
Exactly.
But, I mean, what do you do? Ernest Graham had 2 carries, I think, for like 15 yards. Right off the bat, 2 pretty good runs. Yeah. And then he caught that pass, that flare pass to the outside, landed funny on the field, game's over for him. Yeah. The season's over for him.
And I have done that. I mean, I have an Achilles problem too. It does hurt.
And listen, I also have a running back chart. Okay. I think they're going to put that up for me too to kind of see where we are right now. Right now, we have LeGarrette Blount and Craig Lumpkin. Blount should be back after the bye week. He's still not 100%. Moses Madu is a rookie, and he's on the practice squad, and that's what the P's for. And Chad Spann also is a rookie from Northern Illinois, and he's also on the practice squad. I am positive one of the 2 of them is going to be brought up to the regular squad. And I got a feeling, I'm sure Dominic will find somebody to pluck off somebody's practice squad that they may want to put on this team.
That was my question, is whether he's going to look at that. He usually does. He tries to find somebody that's there. He can pull them out of there. But.
I mean, Spann led the nation in touchdowns last year for Northern Illinois. I think he had 22 touchdowns for the season. He had like 48 in his 4-year college span. So,
well, hopefully he's another LeGarrette Blount, and maybe he can come in there as a rookie and help out a little bit. Hopefully, I don't know which one they're going to. Maybe they bring both. I mean, Lumpkin's not doing very much, so they might bring both of them up. Who knows?
They may have to. It all depends on LeGarrette Blount after this week. Thank the Lord it's their bye week. Yeah. They could not have had a better spot for a bye week than after this game. They're in that position now where maybe LeGarrette Blount will be 90%. A 90% LeGarrette Blount is better than anybody we have on the team. So if he is back in time to play, but again, back what we said, what if he gets nicked up during that game and they have to spell him at some point? Who's going to do that? You know, it's not going to be Craig Lumpkin, obviously. He is not the running back they thought he was going to be. He just is not. And he really wasn't in the preseason either.
Well, let's switch gears real quick. Defensively, we're okay. I mean, Rondé missed a pick 6. We could have had 6 points on there. Should have had it. Maybe he already said that. But let's switch gears to Josh Freeman, okay? 29 of 51, 264 yards. Okay, it shows you how many times he threw. So there's no running game. All right.
There he is, Josh Freeman.
Josh, but is he? I mean, he now has 10 interceptions on the year. Okay, and he himself has admitted that he's forcing balls.
Well, now I give him a little credit on Sunday that he had no running game. He had zero running game. There was nothing else to do but throw. Now, should he have thrown a couple of those away? Absolutely. He threw it into quadruple coverage twice.
That's the decisions I'm talking about.
2 times. You know, but you know, you don't know what you do when you don't have anybody to run the ball. And I mean, they had nothing.
And again, he did not run either.
No, which surprised me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I don't know if Chicago was in a setup to where he really couldn't. Urlacher was everywhere. I mean, that guy touched the ball more than Josh Freeman did, I think.
More than Craig Lumpkin.
I mean, Josh has 10 interceptions on the season already. He only had 6 last year, and it's only what are we? 7 games in.
7 games in, not even halfway.
He's got 9 more games. That does not bode well. He could end up with 20-some interceptions, and that would be a lot.
Yes.
That would be a lot, everybody, just so you know. But 10, you know, if he can get himself back together, they can get some semblance of a running game. We talked about that in my keys. No running game, we're in trouble. That's exactly what happened, and that's where we ended up.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago is not that good of a team. I mean, they played okay. It was a winnable game.
Yep.
Okay.
Tampa could still win that game in the last few minutes, other than our bonehead of the week, which I'm going to get to him too, because he is totally on my list of problem children.
That's right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the game, maybe an upcoming game. We're talking about the Saints a little bit. But
our schedule.
Our schedule. We'll talk about the schedule. We got Dr. Buck coming up, and then, of course, our bonehead and the question of the week.
Yep, got some good ones.
Make sure you stick around.
Don't go away. Come right back.